It was a chilly morning in San Jose, the kind that made sidewalks glisten and breath turn to fog. Lisa, a local rescue volunteer, was doing her usual early rounds, checking alleyways, behind stores, and near dumpsters. She had seen many heartbreaking things in her time, but nothing quite like this. Near the back of a quiet lot, by a rusted green dumpster, she noticed something small and still. At first, she thought it might be trash, but as she stepped closer, her heart sank. Curled up tightly against the cold concrete was a tiny kitten, dyed completely purple. His body was no bigger than her two hands put together. His fur was sticky, clumped together by whatever substance stained it, and his sides rose and fell in shallow, struggling breaths. Lisa knelt beside him. He weighed only 1.75 pounds, barely more than a mug of water. His body was covered in bite wounds, some fresh and some beginning to swell. It looked like he had been used as a chew toy by a larger animal, and simply left behind. Without hesitation, Lisa scooped him into her arms, wrapping him gently in the towel she always kept in her bag. The kitten didn't resist. He was too weak. His eyes barely opened, but Lisa leaned close and whispered, "Hang in there, little one." Then she stood up, held him to her chest, and ran toward her car, praying she wasn't too late while she rushed into the vet clinic. At the clinic, the situation turned serious the moment Lisa walked in with the bundle in her arms. The staff took one look and rushed him into the back without hesitation. His tiny body was burning up. His temperature had reached 105 degrees, far above normal for a kitten his size. One of the technicians whispered, "He's in real danger." Everyone moved fast. They placed him gently on the exam table and began shaving away the sticky, matted fur to assess the damage hidden underneath. What they uncovered was worse than expected. Bite wounds, deep, punctured, and scattered, covered his tiny frame. The count reached 20, and some were dangerously close to major joints and organs. Several wounds were already infected, and a few would need surgery to heal properly. They worked quickly, flushing the injuries, applying antibiotic creams, and starting him on fluids. The room was quiet except for the beeping of machines and the soft hum of a heater warming up nearby. Finally, they laid him on a soft pad beside the heating unit, wrapped in fresh towels. His chest still moved, slow but steady. Someone on the team, trying to lighten the mood, looked at the stubborn purple dye still clinging to his skin, and said, "He looks like a little Smurf." The name stuck. From that moment on, the tiny kitten with the dyed fur and fighting heart was simply called Smurf. Smurf barely moved that first night. He lay curled in a tight ball on the heating pad, his tiny chest rising and falling with shallow, uneven breaths. His muscles twitched now and then, as if from pain or leftover fear. The staff kept the lights low and spoke in soft tones. Every hour someone came to check on him, adjusting his blanket, stroking his head gently, whispering words of comfort he was too weak to fully understand. He didn't cry. He didn't move much. But he was holding on. Just barely. By morning, something shifted. A small movement. His head lifted, wobbly and slow. When a shallow dish of water was placed near him, he leaned in and lapped weakly. Then, after a moment, he nibbled at a bit of soft kitten food. It wasn't much, but it was enough to bring a ripple of hope through the room. After eating, he nestled deeper into the towel, curling in close like it was the first warm, safe thing he'd ever known. The bright purple dye clung to his fur, but with each gentle bath, it began to fade. Not all at once, but slowly, like the fear retreating from his eyes. And in its place, something new began to appear. A spark. A quiet light. He had survived the worst. Now, he just needed time. In the same quiet corner of the clinic, there lived another special kitten. Her name was Wanda. She was blind, soft-furred, and quiet, with movements so careful you'd think she was walking on glass. Wanda had her own story of survival, one filled with silence, shadows, and gentle touches. She didn't play much, and she rarely made noise. Most days, she curled up in her favorite blanket and listened to the world instead of chasing it. When Smurf arrived, she seemed unsure. Like most cats, she kept her distance, and he, still weak and unsure himself, did the same. For a while, they lived only a few feet apart, but never reached for each other. Two tiny souls healing separately. But something began to shift. One morning, a nurse entered the room and stopped in her tracks. There, nestled together in a patch of sunlight, were the two of them, Smurf and Wanda, curled up so close their breathing matched. Their purring filled the space like music. Wanda's small head rested gently against Smurf's side, and his paw lay lightly across her back, as if protecting her. From that moment, they were never apart. Wherever Smurf went, Wanda followed, bumping into walls sometimes, but always finding her way to his side. They shared meals, naps, even toys. And more than once, the staff caught Smurf kneading her shoulders with his tiny paws, slow and rhythmic, almost like he was giving her a massage. It was tender, sweet, as if he knew she needed comfort too. And he gave it without hesitation. Smurf needed surgery on his injured leg. The wound was deep, and the tissue around it had been badly damaged. The doctors knew it would be a difficult operation. Small bones, tiny muscles, and a fragile body still healing from trauma. It was risky, but if they didn't try, he might never walk properly again. Everyone on the team held their breath as he was taken into surgery. And after what felt like hours, the vet finally came out with a small, relieved smile. He made it through. The recovery wasn't easy. At first he was tired and slow, mostly sleeping and eating small amounts. But gradually, his energy returned. He began sitting up on his own, then taking small steps across the room. He even pawed gently at a toy one morning, his first sign of play. Each little improvement felt like a huge step forward. His appetite grew stronger, and soon he was cleaning his plate at every meal. His body, once too thin and fragile, began to fill out with healthy weight and strength. Wanda, always close by, seemed to sense his changes. She followed him as he moved around the room, bumping into table legs here and there, but always finding her way to him. Wherever he went, she was never far behind. And Smurf welcomed her, never rushing, never leaving her behind. As the days passed, something beautiful began to happen. Smurf's gray fur, once hidden beneath that strange purple dye, began to grow back. Soft, silvery strands filled in the bare patches. One of the nurses knelt beside him, petting his back gently, and said with a smile, "He's starting to look like a real kitten again." From all their cuddling, Wanda's fur began to take on a faint, lavender hue. The soft purple tint wasn't from dye, it was simply the result of being constantly wrapped around Smurf, who still carried traces of his original color. It became a quiet symbol of how close they had grown. No one at the clinic had the heart to wash it away. In fact, most of the staff smiled when they saw it. It was as if Wanda wore a piece of Smurf wherever she went, a soft badge of their bond. Every day, the two explored their space together. Smurf would move ahead slowly, pausing to wait while Wanda caught up. She couldn't see, but she followed the familiar rhythm of his paws, the faint sound of his movements guiding her like a compass. They played gently, never rough, never wild. They'd chase after feathers, curl up inside laundry baskets, and sometimes just sit still in a sliver of sunlight, their bodies pressed together in perfect trust. Mealtimes were always shared. Two tiny bowls placed side by side, always empty by the end. Smurf's purring had grown louder with each passing day. What started as a faint vibration had become a steady hum that filled the room. His joy was impossible to miss, pure, radiant, and almost contagious. And Wanda? She glowed differently too. Though her world remained dark, she moved with a quiet confidence now. With Smurf by her side, she no longer hesitated. She trusted him completely, trusted his steps, his warmth, and his presence. Though one knee still gave him trouble, Smurf never stopped playing. Another minor surgery helped, and soon he was jumping, pouncing, and batting toys like any healthy kitten. His fur grew back fluffy and gray. He and Wanda became the stars of the clinic, two tiny survivors, stronger each day, never apart for long. Each morning brought joy. Some days it was their favorite breakfast. Other days it was a new blanket or toy. Smurf would chase Wanda's tail, then curl up beside her like nothing happened. They would nap in a pile of warmth and safety, a tangle of fur and love. Their bond grew deeper with every passing moment. Smurf, once dyed and broken, was now playful and full of personality. Wanda, though blind, followed his lead confidently. The clinic had become their home. The staff had become their family. They weren't just two kittens anymore. They were symbols of what love, patience, and care could do. Whether they were curled under a blanket or arguing over a toy, Smurf and Wanda were always together. They had survived cruelty, fear, and pain. But now, they lived every day in comfort and love. Their story wasn't just about recovery. It was about friendship, strength, and starting over. Thank you for following Smurf and Wanda's journey. Your love, your support, and your kindness helped make their healing possible. If their story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and tell us in the comments whether you have a pet that you hold dear.